how appropriate that I'm wearing Smurf blue for this cartoon theory. And this is one hell of a theory. Once again, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. This is wow. I'm not even going to waste your time. Let's get right into it. Smurfs, Aryan puppets or harmless cartoon toys? There are two articles we're going to go over today. The cartoon Smurfs have been around for years, but no one has ever looked close enough to see some of the underlying messages. It has always tried to express strong moral values by depicting acts of kindness and good deeds for one another. These little creatures were cute and lovable, and these factors make it hard to believe the show's writer and creator Peyo, aka Pierre Cullimore, who passed away in '92 at the age of 64, was found to be a Nazi and affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan. Looking at different aspects of the cartoons itself, perhaps it isn't so unbelievable. Okay. The Smurfs always set out to give children a moral message by the end of each show, yet intricately looped throughout each seeming harmless plot was a deeper, darker message. For example, the bad guy Gargamel gives the Smurf a coin in the hopes he will keep it and become greedy. The plan works, upsetting in the peaceful Smurf village. In the end, though, it's all resolved when the Smurf in question shares his newfound wealth with his little blue friends. Is it just coincidence that the bad guy happens to have a Jewish name and resembles someone of Jewish descent? Why was it so awful for the Smurf to keep the coin he had found? He had every right because it was his own. Yet, as the structure of their society was, it was wrong for one to have more than another. Sounds familiar? Like socialism. Okay? All right, let's keep going. In retrospect, some visual aspects of the show and even storylines show creators' connections with the Ku Klux Klan. The Klan is an organization of white supremacists who believe white people are the master race. Okay. The village was headed by Papa Smurf, a red hat wearing leader amongst the white pointed hat wearing group. Similarly, the leader of the KKK, known as the Grand Dragon, wears a pointy red hat. In one episode, the Smurfs had an evil spell cast upon them. When they were black in color, they were suddenly bad. There were also many episodes where they danced around fires, much like the KKK traditional rituals. Further Nazi influences can be seen in both the names and appearances of some of the characters. The villain of the story, Gargamel, was a man who bore resemblance to a parody of a stereotypical Jewish man with dark hair and prominent features. He lived in a big old house that was unkempt. He himself seemed unclean. His name descends from a German Jewish heritage, as does the name of his cat Azrael. In Jewish mythology, Azrael is the angel who separates the soul from the body at death. Among the Smurfs themselves, there is only one female with strangely Aryan features, most prominently displayed by her long blonde hair. In Nazi ideology, this is a Caucasian Gentile, especially one of the Nordic stock. Hitler carried the belief that the Aryans possessed the ideal look for a Nazi. Even though these observations can be considered nothing more than speculation, there is no denying the evidence found in the creator's home. In truth, many viewers might choose not to believe this simply for the fact that they refuse to admit that they were being fooled. The truth that underlies the show's supposed objective completely contradicted it. The show set out to teach children good morals and values like sharing and loving your neighbor, when in fact some of the underlying messages of the show tell the opposite. To the creator, the show must have been perfect, a show that presented views that society considered good and right, and intermixed a way to subtly express his own views and opinions. His ideas were executed with enough care as to not arouse suspicion, therefore enabling him to do so until the day he retired. Now, here's the second article. Let's keep it going. And the most disturbing aspect of Peyo, aka Peter Cullimore, was discovered that after his death in '92, in cleaning out his estate, it was discovered that the creator of this highly moralistic cartoon was actually a Nazi affiliated with the KKK, who was a communist. Keeping in mind that Peyo was down with the Commies, the Nazis, and the Clannies, let's look at the Smurfs themselves. Okay, Papa Smurf is the leader, the only one to dress in red. Okay, then there's Smurfette in her white hat, her blonde locks bounce with every step as she did nothing more than look pretty and water flowers. But she wasn't complete without her high heels and above the knee miniskirt. For being the only female in Smurf Village, she fits into the perfect stereotype of the ideal Aryan princess. On the socialist side, the Smurfs are the perfect socialist model. There is no currency and everything is shared among them. In their white outfits, they are all but indistinguishable from each other, working as automatons to provide for the good of the village. The anti capitalistic message the Smurfs preached was epitomized in Greedy Smurf as a lover of money. Greedy Smurf was disliked by the others. Then there was Vanity Smurf. He wore a flower in his hair and liked to look in the mirror a lot. Do you think this he represented homosexuality? He was treated poorly by his fellow Smurfs, sending a message to children that homosexuality should not be tolerated. Proof positive that the Smurfs are communists is found in Brainy Smurf, the one Smurf who dares to question anything and think for his own. Cosmetically, Brainy is a dead ringer for Leon Trotsky, the Russian revolutionary who was exiled to Mexico for disagreeing with Stalin and later assassinated. Like Trotsky, Brainy is ostracized by the autonomous Smurfs for thinking too much. Out of all the Smurfs, who was valued the most? Why, it was the hardworking, handy Smurf who could fix anything and question nothing. In communist society, hard work and manual labor is valued above all. Conversely, to being taught to hate homosexuals, Handy Smurf taught kids to value labor and despise laziness. The Nazism aspect of the Smurfs is portrayed in the villain Gargamel and his henchman cat Azrael. From an animation perspective, Gargamel's dark hair and prominent features give him a stereotypical Jewish look. Uh, and then what made Gargamel so bad? All he wanted was to catch the Smurfs and turn them into gold, rather enterprising. Again, Gargamel was an example to kids that greed, aka capitalism, is bad, and Jewish people, according to Peyo, are evil monsters. The anti Semitism continues with Gargamel's magic. He was always whipping up a new spell to use on the poor, innocent Smurf. Among the Nazis, it was common belief that Jews were evil sorcerers. Okay. That's the Smurfs. Once again, I'm here to ruin every childhood show you hold near and dear. Peace.